Creation Day 1 ImagePlane Setup Part 2. Alright, now that we've created everything, I'm going to go ahead and create a new scene here. Don't save. This first scene is going to be called, I'm going to go ahead and save a scene. Let's bring up my image here. Say File, Save Scene As. Guess what? I'm in BMW 5 Series scene. You guys can go ahead and save as binary. If you're using 2011, if you're using 2012, if you're using 2011, save it as an ASCII file, because then you can read it back in. BMW _ 5 series. I'm going to call this ImagePlanes Setup 01. It's good to save multiple versions of things. It's good to save in steps. In this case, I will save in steps. You may want to go back to and work on your car and perfect it a little bit more, and you may not want to have to start all the way over. So if you work in these different passes or these different groups or phases, then you can easily revert back to a point where you did have the concept down 100% or close to, but you really didn't grasp everything. You want to start from just that point instead of starting all the way over. Alright, from here I'm going to go ahead and start immediately using my marking menus. I'm going to create 4 planes. Shift right click, create polygon menu, or let's just say the creation menu. Polyplane. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my channel box. I'm going to go ahead and use my hotkey editor. I'm going to go into the Eastern quadrant over here, attributes. I'm going to bring up the channel box. Otherwise, we can go back to display, UI elements, and show all, or turn on your channel box layer editor. I'm going to go into the inputs of this particular plane because I don't want this much information in here. Make sure you guys pay attention. I'm going to reset that back to 1. I'm going to set my scale of this object. I could actually set in here, but I'm going to set the scale to 12. That's really good. Now if you guys change your grid requirements, come up here, go to grid, edit, reset settings. Make sure you're using centimeters. That can throw you guys off. So I've made a grid here. I'm going to call this top. Whoops. Say top _ plane. Don't just call this top because there's a top camera and Maya doesn't know the difference. Then I'm going to duplicate this. I'll hit Control D and I'll rotate this in X 90 degrees. And I'm going to push this out 12. This will be my front view. Translate Z +12. This will be our front plane. Get rid of this one. I'm going to go ahead and take the same plane, duplicate it, say -12. This will be the back plane. And then I'm going to take this one and rotate it again. We call it the side view. Side plane. Translate Z. Rotate Z. Very good. I have this. I'm going to go ahead and save it. I don't like to do extra work. I'm going to get rid of my grid. Later on in the lab I'll talk about these menus up here. But turning off the grid, it's easy to do right there. Turn my wireframe unshaded so I can see everything. So again, I saved it. Get back to working with just this sheet of paper. Now we're going to go into something called the Hypershade. Were you guys introduced to the Hypershade? Good. So Windows, Rendering Editor, Hypershade. Now I know you guys were able to add textures just by right clicking onto this object and saying, hey, add a texture here. That's great. But I want to get a good overview of what's happening in front of me, so I'm going to go ahead and say I want to make 4 Lambert shaders, and when I say make 4 Lambert shaders, don't look just at the number. Actually create 4 new Lambert shaders, because we never ever assign anything to Lambert 1, as you guys already know. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. I count it out. Sometimes if I'm not thinking, I look at, oh, I've already made 4, and I assign something to Lambert 1, and I have issues. From that, I'm going to make, I need 2D texture. I'm going to make 4 files. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to assign these 4 files. I'm just going to middle mouse drag onto Lambert 2 here, say default. Then go to the connection editor. Actually, I'm going to get rid of 2 here. I'll show you guys how to do this. This one's missing. Number 2 default. There you go. And I'm going to go here, default. And if I double click on this, my attribute editor comes up. I can click on the create render node swatch. I say file. We can also do it this way. I'm going to say file. And then from this, I'm going to attach the object I want. But before I do that, let me just label this really quick. I'm going to say this is going to be top. Remember, you're going to have to say, it's easier to say this is top underscore Lambert. In my case, I'm just going to say lamb. And move forward here. Quickly, side. You don't want to have to search for this everywhere. Front. Mine is a program. It doesn't have a brain. It doesn't know if you're talking about top of the car, top of the hood, top camera, top reference. So you have to be descriptive. Top, excuse me, back. Alright, so we got everything assigned. I'm going to save it because I don't like to do work more than once. Go in here. This is top. Assign that. Side. Stay organized. Front and the back. I've assigned everything. Once I've done that, now it's very easy to assign these shaders to my object because I've labeled them. A lot of times I get on people's computers and they didn't label them, then I got to go through their texture and see which is which. That's difficult. It's a waste of time. This is my front. In order to tell this is the front, is Z right here is hard to see right there, but Z should be on this side of the thing, on this side of the viewport. And you could tell that this is going to be the front of the car facing. That's the front of the car facing it. So Z should be this way. Z. So front, I'm just going to grab this object. I'm going to right click, say assign material to selection. And if I hit 6, I can see that that shader's on there. Excuse me. Shader and texture. I'm going to click on the back. Say back. Assign material to selection. That's one way to do it. Just right click and you get a new marking menu there. Or I can just middle mouse and say side, drag and drop. See how it's got the plus on there? If I go here, I get a no-go symbol. But right here it says add. There's that symbol. I'm going to go to the top, add that symbol. We're good. So now I have all my objects on here. Control S, save it. I can't really see through this yet, so I need to lower the transparency of these particular shaders. I'll double click on one shader and just click that down. You can see that I've lowered the transparency on the back. I can actually see through that. See that? This is a cheaper way than actually using X-ray, but you know, I use X-ray all the time. This helps to front, just click there in the middle, side, It's nice, you can just go through this like that. Okay, so now I can press Control S, save it. This is good. So for our image planes, all the shaders have been attached, everything's been assigned, nice and neat. Now we're going to go right back to our channel box. I'm going to go back to my hot box, go to the marking menu, attributes, channel box. Let's bring up the channel box. What I want to do is, I don't want to have these image planes up all the time. And two, when I get them set, I don't want them to move. I don't want to have any accidental movement on this. So I'm going to create layers in our layer editor here, where I can lock that down. The layer editor is right below the channel box. And you notice up here it says channel box / layer editor. So what I'm going to do is grab one of these objects here. This is the front. I'm going to hit this swatch right here with the little blue ball. That's going to say, that's telling me to, whatever object I have selected, create a new layer and attach it. So I did that. If I hit V for visibility, it's on and off. Everything's attached. So I'm going to go ahead and name this. I'm going to go ahead and name this front. And if I hit save, it's going to give me an error saying there's something else named front. Oh, it didn't, sorry. It shouldn't overwrite the front camera. So I'm going to say front layer to be safe. Just in case I make something else that says front. Back, do the same thing. Save, side view. And top view. Say save. So what this allows us to do is actually activate these in the layer to actually what I call locking them out. So I can go here, I can still select it. If I hit T for the back view, if I hit this swatch over here, I get this letter T that comes in. This is called template mode. Template mode, you can't select it. It grays out everything. It's good for an actual model that's wireframe. Not in this case. We actually want to see the image. So I'm going to click it one more time and it goes to reference mode. It's R. Everything is black. You cannot select in reference mode. This is where we're going to keep these images for the most part after we manipulate them. R. So I'm going to turn that back to its normal mode. I'm going to pause this, save this, and give us one more video so we can digest this easier.